Is there something like too woke? Are you too politically aware? Are you over radicalized? How does that feel? Does it come with like really, really bad things happening to you, or is this major self awareness totally worth it? This is what we are getting into today.
Warning, listening to us
might radicalize you.
Hi, welcome to a new episode of Unholy Feminists with me, your host for today, Gil and Kat. Hi,
Hi,
Kat.
Gail.
How you doing?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just being a woman right now, like
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, I hate that too. That's why I keep saying to yeet the uterus out, but no, I'm just kidding. Going through
Yes.
menopause is not
No, but like
it's
I
not
really
fun.
want to. Yeah, I sort of kind of want to.
I
Uh,
mean, if it wasn't for the fact that getting a hysterectomy would result in going would be basically going through a menopause, I would also be doing it
mhm.
too because that sounds
Yeah.
very nice. Not the menopause
Yeah.
part, but the, you know, hysterectomy part.
We'll be fine, I
We'll be
guess.
fine. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening in your part of the world? My brain is slightly fried today because like my body is working at 40%, and I'm being generous right now because all I want to do is sleep. Like literally, I don't even have energy to find food or to look for food to eat. I just want to be sleeping the day away. So my brain is like,
Yeah, I know. It's the exhaustion. And you deserve rest as well. I mean, rest is a form of resistance. So,
yeah, it is political.
rest
So
is political.
and
On
yeah,
my part of the
talking.
world,
Yes.
Epstein files. I have been drowning in the Epstein files because basically I am planning on doing a long deep dive video on the Epstein files, and I've been doing a shit ton of research, like a lot. And I just finished doing a video last week on Jeffrey Epstein 101. So, talking about who Jeffrey Epstein was and his connection and all of that as kind of like a prelude to the Epstein files drop. So, for the past 2 weeks, I have been consuming a lot of content talking about the Epstein files, and it has been very, very depressing. I feel very angry.
Yeah,
I feel very
I can imagine.
yeah, it has not been fun. I've been so overwhelmed, and I don't think I've ever been so angry at billionaires because it feels like, why is it that this entire world is run by what, 12 men who are also pedophiles? It's it's insane. I hate it.
Yeah, I saw someone say that the the average man is not enraged because even without the wealth that these people have, they are perverts. That's why they do not see like the need to be outraged. So it's at the end of the day, men, right?
I mean, we can just look at the beauty standard that is set for women. The beauty standard set for women is basically catered to a pedophile's gaze, right? Because we want women to look perpetually young, to look youthful, to not have any wrinkles, any lines, to look slim and to not have any hair. Those are traits
Hair.
of
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
of girls.
Yeah.
So the beauty
Yeah.
standard itself is set by pedophiles. So that says a lot about our world.
Yeah, men liking soft-spoken women, men liking, women who will not talk back, men liking petite and skinny women as opposed to thick and tall women. Like it, so many things just goes back to pedophilic tendencies, and it's a
Yeah.
conversation a lot of them are actually not ready for, because yeah, they wouldn't want to accept that their ones are deep rooted like in pedophilia, because I feel like for a lot of them pedophilia ends at, just liking a child. They forget that there's like so many other things that contribute. So yeah, it's, and talking about everything you're drowning in, I feel like if we were not as politically aware or radicalized, this will be information, this will be news that we'll be desensitized to. It will be like, oh yeah, this happens, or you probably not even see it at all. Like literally, the last time a friend of mine was reading a book by Sarah J. Maas, and I was like, she asked me whether I've read it. I was like, oh, I'm on Book Talk, so I've seen a couple of reviews about it, but I've not, because I really read that she's Zionist.
She is a
So
Zionist,
I've
yeah.
not, yeah, so I've not, since I found out, I've not bothered to read any of their books. And she asked me, oh, what does that mean?
So, disclaimer, I loved, with a D, I loved Sarah J. Maas for so long. I have all of her series. I have Throne of Glass. I love Agatar. I love Crescent. Well, I haven't read Crescent City, but I also have Crescent City. I have the special collection of Throne of Glass, of Agatar. I loved her for so long, especially after I read Agatar. I read it since 2017, 2018, way before Book Talk exploded. And right now, I can't in good conscience read her stuff anymore because of that. And a bunch of other reasons too, but I don't want to get too much into that. But yeah, basically, I, as much as I love Rhysand, as much as I love the world of Agatar, it feels wrong to dive into that world. So I get it, yeah.
Yeah, so I mentioned because she's a Zionist, and then
Hmm.
she asked me what's a Zionist. I'm like, oh my god, it must be nice
It must be
to
very nice.
live in this bliss. And then I had to literally give her like a crash course on Palestine and the genocide and everything Israel is doing, and how like other countries are involved. And she's like, oh, like those things barely come up on her For You page.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I need to radicalize you because we cannot live like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you are politically aware, when you are radicalized, it just comes with this weight of
Hmm.
seeing things that a lot of the world do not see. For you, did you have like epiphany? Was it like, were you reading a book when you felt like, oh my god, my eyes are open? Or like, did you find yourself in a situation, or have you just always been politically aware?
Well, I grew up in a conservative country. Cambodia is a very conservative country. I grew up being spoon-fed a lot of misogyny, a lot of patriarchal ideas masqueraded as empowerment, and I fed into that. I accepted that. I remember when I was very young, when I was 5 or 6 years old, I remember I remember wanting to have children in the future. I remember wanting to have a
Mm.
husband. I remember that my dream was to get married when I was 21. Spoiler, I am still not married and I do not want to have children. But when I was young, I mean, imagine a 5, 6 year old thinking that that was her dream in life. So I was conditioned by society into accepting all of that. But I guess my journey, I didn't become a feminist overnight. My journey began when I feel like I keep repeating this a lot because every time I get interviewed, I talk about this story. When I was 17, I started working at the BBC, and one of the projects that we were working on was about sexual reproductive health. And so I started doing a lot of research on reproductive health, and then I stumbled upon a content creator, a YouTuber named Lacey Green. And I loved her back then. Since then she's grifted to a little bit to right wing, but I remember watching a video where she was talking about virginity as a social construct. And I watched that and then I realized it's kind of like having the veil lifted off of me. And I realized that this was
Mm-hmm.
how society has been conditioning us to believe, the purity culture, all of that. So I started doing my blogs, and even then it was one step at a time. It was more about the journey of reading feminists, listening to other feminists, reading feminist materials, books, attending events, workshops, and all of that, learning one step at a time. I also remember that way after I started doing my blogs, at one point about abortion, for example, I used to think, well, if the male partner wanted to have the baby and wanted to raise the baby, then why couldn't the woman just carry the pregnancy to term and then give the baby, the baby after it's born, to the dad or to the male partner? Why couldn't she just do that? I mean, it's simple, right? Until I realized that that narrative, that idea was essentially using the woman as an incubator, which is not okay. So it's about unlearning little things like that. And I think the moment that I realized that I was very, very radical and different from other, from, I don't know, saying that different from other people makes me sound like a pygmy, but radicalized.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, the moment that I realized that I was really, really radicalized was after I started doing my content, and I was invited to this sort of meeting with other people who also work in gender equality as well, and they were talking about how extreme I was. And bear in mind, this was in 2018 when I was far, far less radical. I mean, I'm a lot more radicalized now, so I can't imagine how they would think about me now. Because back then they were saying that, oh, you're so controversial, um, you're so leftist, you're so controversial. I think you should tone it down a bit. And this was coming from people who were working in feminist organizations in Cambodia. And that was the moment that I felt very isolated, and I realized that, you know what? Yeah, maybe I'm just really, really radicalized. Rant over. What about you?
Yeah. I don't think I remember a particular moment, but I was always rebellious, even as a child. So even though I also grew up in like a conservative um family, I grew up in a very religious background. I still found ways. So it started with the books I read, because I mean, in my culture and in my country, just talking about sex is like this big thing that you are doing. It's like this thing you're supposed to be ashamed of. And then I started reading a lot of erotica. I think I started reading erotica at like 14. So, yeah, it started pretty early. So I started reading erotica then and learning about my body. So mine mainly started from sex. So, and I think starting on erotica, I was also I think if I say was, I'll be I am like hypersexual. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am a hypersexual person, and I think that's just how my journey started. So I became extremely fixated on sex. I was always looking for things on sex to read, and that takes you places. So I just started, I think I started doing sex education on my
Mm-hmm.
Snapchat, on my social media accounts, even though I barely knew anything. And people liked it. I was like, okay. Then I started writing erotica myself.
Uh-huh.
And I used to get so many readers. I'm like, okay, I might be onto something. But even as I was reading all this, I did not even know that I was on a journey to, like, being politically
Mm-hmm.
aware. I knew that, like you also said, I knew that how I talked and related to sex was different from how, like, a lot of people my age and even older than me did. And and it felt empowering for me in some way. So yeah, that's how it started. And then I started like a small pop-up thing where people come and then we all have conversations. But my turning point was actually when I joined my current organization, because before I joined, I had also like seen things about abortion, and I don't care if people have abortion, but I would never advocate for someone to have an abortion. I wouldn't have told someone to go get an abortion. However, if I heard that someone had an abortion, I'd be like, okay, like that's fine. Until I started working with my current job, and then yeah, my veil also like definitely dropped from there, because before that I was part of the people who were saying, no, I'm not a feminist. Before I joined like my job, I was very like, oh, I'm not a feminist. And then I joined my job, and like, of course, SRHR, you read on gender and literally everything. It's not just about sexuality and all that. So
Yeah.
that was my journey, and I feel like there's still a very long way to go for me. And I love being radicalized, honestly. Do you?
Do I?
Yes, do you?
Um, let's just attach it to the next question as I'm reading the list the show note that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next question is yeah, how you feel about being just politically aware. Has it given you anything as a person, or even in your like, professional job, in your romantic relationships? Like, what has being politically aware given you?
So I'm gonna give a being politically aware has given me a lot of grief, has given me a lot of anger. Because I sometimes feel like I would be a much happier person if I wasn't so aware of everything all the time. I mean, I can't enjoy movies anymore without looking at
I
it and be
hear
like,
you.
hey, why does that woman not have a speaking role? Why is no woman speaking in this movie? Or looking at it and think, why are all the women sexualized? I can't consume anything right now without, it's like this is my default now, just looking at things in a more politically aware, more radicalized way. And you can't just simply turn that part of off of your brain, because you can't
Yeah.
enjoy things the way that they are. You can't be ignorant about things anymore. Everything that someone says to you, you dissect it, and then you start to see the undertone of the racism, of the misogyny, and then you start to be nitpicky about everything. It's really hard to enjoy life, especially when you live in this kind of world. It's really hard. I go on my social media and my newsfeed is flooded with political news all the time. For example, one of my friends, sort of friends, acquaintances, she got engaged recently, and I hope that she's not gonna get mad at me if she listens to this. But she got engaged recently, and she did an engagement video, and she's a feminist. She's a self-proclaimed feminist. She works in a feminist organization in Cambodia. And in the engagement video, it's supposed to be romantic, right? Her fiance, they were doing a speech in front of all the parents on both sides, and he was doing a speech where he said thank you to her dad for allowing him to marry her. And then she said, thank you to my dad for giving me to him. I sat there, like, jaw dropped, and I was like, what the fuck? You're a grown woman. Why are you thanking your dad for giving you away like you're some property? You're a woman, you're a feminist. You're a person. You can't just give someone away like that. And why is your fiance asking your dad for permission to marry you? Like, honestly, for me, I know a lot of people would say that it's a romantic gesture to ask your parents for your hand in marriage, right? I would be very offended because I would look at that person. I would think that my partner doesn't think that I am autonomous enough, that I am independent enough, my own person to be able to decide on my own. I mean, you can tell my parents, but you do not get to ask them for permission because they do not own me,
Permission.
right? So things like that, things that a lot of people would look and say, "Oh, that's so romantic." I looked at it and I was like, "That's not romantic. That's very anti-feminist." So you know what I mean? It, I cannot enjoy things.
I do.
Yeah.
Definitely. My best friend always has this saying that if she meets a man who thinks that he needs to go and ask her dad for permission, she knows that's not the man for her,
Yeah.
because like there's no way you see me and get to know me and think that you have to go and ask my father to allow you to marry me. Like, hey, I'm right here. So I perfectly get where you're coming from.
So yeah, that's what it's done to me. I can't enjoy things the way they are. I'm very, very critical of things. But with all that being said, I would not change it for anything in the world. I am very grateful that I am politically aware. I enjoy being radicalized in sort of like a masochistic way. But I do feel like if we all were ignorant and if we all were just turning a blind eye on social issues just for the sake of our comfort, it will harm people. It will harm vulnerable
Yeah.
people because we need people to
Yeah.
fight for our rights, right? For the rights of marginalized people. It comes at my discomfort. It comes at your discomfort and other people who are fighting for this. It comes at our discomfort. But if we were to say, I would rather be ignorant and I would rather just, live a happy life, just going my way, being blissfully ignorant, you can do that, but it's very selfish because you might not be suffering, but other people are suffering for that. So I would say that yeah, it makes me an angrier person and I am less happy. But we need to step outside. We need to sacrifice our happiness and our comfort so that other people can also have equal rights because we can't be free unless all of us are free.
All of us are free. True. That's true. I perfectly agree with everything you said. It's made me sadder. I feel like being politically aware has prevented me from taking things at a face value. A lot
Yeah.
of things are not like face value for me. It is deep. Like, I'm not someone you say, oh, it's not that deep. It's so deep. It is deeper than deep. Really. It's that deep. And I'm sorry that you are not at the level that I am. So you can't seem to understand where I'm coming from. I'm really sorry about that. But you do not get to minimalize my feelings that I'm having about something you said or something someone did. It is that deep. I feel like it's not deep actually triggers me because yeah, I'm radicalized to the point that I really cannot take the things people say and do at face value. So that's one of the downsides. It's it makes you less fun in a way
Yeah.
because now you are dissecting everything people say. Like, even when I'm flirting with a man, cat, and he says something, I'm like, ugh, okay, now ick, because why are you saying that to me? So yeah, it definitely, I don't have as much fun as I used to, but like you said, I would also not trade the sadness, the depression I feel like a lot of times when I go on my For You page. So there are literally days that I don't even open X, and when I go on Twitter, I look for specific accounts to look at, or I just type in book talk, and then I just scroll because if I go on my normal For You page, I'm going to see so many things, and it's going to break my heart more than my heart has already been broken. And I think think it's okay to take breaks. So I give myself that. So I perfectly agree with you. So for our next question,
Hang on.
Kai,
I do
what
want to add,
has been, yeah.
I do want to add a little bit because, like you said, everything is that deep. Every
Yeah.
single thing in our society is political. I'm going to raise two examples. Things that a lot of people won't find political. One, bathrooms, public bathrooms. When I go to,
Mm.
I get very annoying. When I go to a public place, any public space, and then I see the queues to the public bathroom, I see the queue to the female bathroom longer than the queue to the male bathroom. If there is a queue at all, I would say to the person next to me, I would say, this is because of patriarchy, right? Allow me to explain. So, even though in a building, if they dedicate the same amount of space for the female bathroom compared to the male bathroom, it is not equal because in order for women to go to the bathroom, we need stalls, right? Which takes up more space compared to the urinal, which takes up less space, which means that there would be more urinals in male bathrooms compared to in female bathrooms where fewer people can go in. And then on top of that, when women go to the bathroom, we spend more time. We go in, we take off our pants, we take off our underwear, and we sit down. That takes more time. It might be a few seconds, but we do take more time compared to men. So the fewer amount of bathroom stalls compare plus the longer amount of time that we take means that there's a longer queue in the female bathroom compared to men, even though the dedicated space is the same. Now, what does that lead to? It leads to the likelihood of women getting more UTIs than men because women need to wait longer in line compared to men, which means that women
Men.
need to spend more money on treatment, on UTI treatment compared to men when we already earn less than men. See, that's political. Another one is pockets. So you would notice that in women's clothing, we rarely have any pockets.
Yeah.
And even when we do,
Okay.
it's tiny pockets, right? So that is political in a sense that it was purposely done that way. One, in order to sell handbags for women. So you don't have any pockets, which means you need something to put your items in, which means that you're going to buy a handbag. So the fashion world, the fashion industry a lot of it is selling handbags to women. Again, we're spending more money when we already earn much less than men. But also, by making women's clothing have fewer pockets or tiny pockets, unusable pockets, it means that we need to use a handbag or we need to put our items somewhere that are in a vulnerable spot, which means we are more susceptible to being robbed, which means we would want protection from a man, right? We would say, "Hey, can you go with me because I don't want to have my purse snatched or I don't want to be robbed," which means we are relying on men for protection because we are put in a more vulnerable spot, right? Everything is political. You just have to look for it. You just have to be aware of it, which brings back to my point about how I can't enjoy anything because when I buy anything that doesn't have pockets, I'm like, this is patriarchy.
I perfectly understand you. And you are making valid points. So I perfectly get you. Um so yeah, I think our next question is what has being politically aware cost you? I think for me it has cost me some level of emotional safety because like I said before, I think I always say I'm a bit of a sad soul. Like um I'm susceptible to like depressive moods than like a lot of people I know. So that's always been like my thing. It's not maybe it's not a thing to claim, but like it's just always been part of me. Like I'll be there and then randomly like I'm sad and like I'm going through like all these emotions and it can run on for days and things before I got politically aware, I was like that. So now it's worse because also as an empath, having to go through like all these things going on in the news,
Mm-hmm.
political wise and like everything, and then you see bodies of children in the Palestine war, in Congo, in Sudan. You see a mother being hanged with her child at her back and one other holding her leg crying. It's like, oh my God. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, really, really sometimes, just for a second, I wish I can unsee those things. I wish that I know it's not possible. And I know it's probably I feel bad when I think of it that way, that I wish I can unsee it. Because I'm not even experiencing it. This is someone's reality. This is someone's lived experience. So I feel selfish in the times where I say I wish I can unsee this, or
Mm-hmm.
I wish I never saw this, or I never knew this. So it has cost me some level of emotional safety, and the grief I experience now is so much more because, like, at first when I'm spiraling in my depressive moods, I'm just spiraling for myself about the things that like are, but now when I'm spiraling, it starts from one thing and it goes to things that are, very far removed from me, but I'm still feeling this sadness for people I don't know, people I'll never know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's heavy, and it's also cost me relationships, but I do not see that as a negative cost,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like being politically aware has done wonders for my relationship with men, and even with a couple of my girlfriends, because I know what kind of conversations to have with certain people and what to avoid having with certain people, because I have my beliefs, I have my ideologies and all that. And I feel like most of the friends I have currently, they are like on my side. We believe in the same thing, so it's much easier. But I know people from way back who would not have like been at the stage where I am right now, so we would not be able
Yeah.
to have conversations as much. So I don't think it's a cause. And with men, I do not take as much BS as I used to, because
Mm-hmm.
if you think you can come over here and talk down on other women to prop me up, you miss the turn. It's not here. Like that is definitely not welcome here. You are not about to talk any type of way about other women just so I feel like I'm some bad bitch. I am a bad bitch on my own. You don't need to put other women down for me to feel that way. So that's not going to track here. And there are also certain things men used to say and do that I would usually have been like, oh, it's nothing, that
Mm-hmm.
now I don't is nothing to. It says that deep for me. And yeah, I've gotten people say you take everything so seriously, like I'm just joking with you. Well, don't joke with me. I'm not
Yeah.
I don't know who you are feeling like, but I don't like funny people, first of all. So don't joke with me. Especially when people want to be funny at the expense of putting other people down. I
Punching
will not
down.
laugh. Like, please. Yeah. So I don't think it's a negative cost. But yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely cost me some relationships that were worth me being away from my some level of emotional safety. And there's been a lot of grief. What about you?
I want to talk about changing for the better, actually, since you brought that up. I
Mm,
feel like despite
yeah.
all of that, being politically aware and being radicalized has given me more freedom, because I see a lot
Mm,
of women who internalize misogyny. They put themselves in this culture where they restrict everything, right? I have heard from my friend about her colleague who wouldn't eat anything, who would pass out just because she wants to look a certain way, who wanted to be of a certain size, or women who yearn to have a husband because they feel that that's all their goal in life is. Or a lot of women in Cambodia, because of purity culture, who feel like their worth is nothing if they're not a virgin anymore, that if they have had sex before, then no man would ever want them because they're used good. So being radicalized has freed me from all of those internalized misogynistic ideas, because I don't look at myself as a product, as an object for men. I don't look at myself, my not virgin self, as used good. I look at myself as a whole being. It has freed me in a way that I don't have to conform to societal standards. I know that it's okay for me to not want to have children. I'm fine with that. That gives me freedom. I know that I don't need to have a husband. That has also given me freedom. That, I like to say that that has taken a lot of pressure off of me, because I don't feel like there's a ticking clock. Because I don't want to
Yeah.
have children. I don't feel like I need to fulfill a certain timeline. I need to find someone by this certain age and then have children at this certain age, because otherwise it would be too late for me. I don't have that, which means I get to take more time in picking someone or picking anyone at all, because I don't feel like there's a sunk cost fallacy, right? Because a lot of women, they feel like, oh, I have sacrificed this many years of my life with you, and now I'm getting older and I only have 2 years window of time to get pregnant, and if I break up with you, I'm never gonna have that window. I'm never gonna meet someone else, so I'm gonna stay with you even if you treat me badly, just because I want to fulfill that timeline. I don't have that. I have complete freedom in what I want to do in my life. Complete freedom under capitalism, of course. But
Oh.
yeah, and I feel like it's given me a lot of freedom, a lot of confidence. I can wear whatever I want without worrying about societal standard of what a woman
Yes.
should dress. So I feel like I enjoy a lot of that. I feel more free. I feel like a human being. I don't feel like a cog in a machine. And I also I've also been kinder to myself as well, because like we said in the beginning of the episode, rest is a form of resistance, right? So I don't work myself to the ground anymore. I allow myself time to recuperate. I allow myself time to rest, even though sometimes I still feel guilty about it. I still am lenient to myself, to my body, because I know that it is not natural for us to live under capitalism. So I'm not gonna allow the capitalists to use me like a machine to fulfill, to create for them, to produce for them, so that they can go to a pedophile island. So I allow myself time for a break, you know? And in relationships as well, I learned to set a higher standard for myself. So I feel like these are all the good things that being radicalized has given me. I'll be quick because I know we're approaching 40 minutes. Negatively, I have lost a lot of friends, and I have lost a lot of my sanity. So we talked a little bit about the sanity, about going a little bit crazy at seeing the state of the world. But also, I used to have more friends before I started becoming radicalized and doing all my content. But then, since then, some of my friends have publicly come out and said that I am too extreme. They said that, they used that word, that I am too extreme. And then they started bashing me on social media. So I have lost a lot of friends because of that. But like you said, it's not necessarily a negative, because now I get to befriend, I get to talk to people who are politically aware and understanding and care about the state of the world like
Yeah.
I do. And that's very important to me.
Yeah. That's all we need, honestly. That's all we need. And I think you already touched on rest being political. Because our next question is how, when you experience burnout, because if you're politically aware, if you're radicalized, you will experience burnout. There's no if, it will happen. You will experience burnout. And when we experience burnout, what are some things that you do? For me, I try to take a step back. Like I already mentioned, I avoid particular platforms where the news can be like very jarring and very in your face. So even though it's in my head, I know that this situation is ongoing. I try to take a step back so that I'm not constantly consuming that information. Because the thing is, if you are burnt out, you are not helping anyone in your
Mm-hmm.
advocacy, in your
Agreed.
activism. If you are burnt out, if you are stressed out, if you are depressed as fuck, you might not get as much ideas as you need. You need to take a step back. It's okay to take a step back. I know sometimes there's a chance of feeling some form of guilt, because yes, people are actually experiencing this, but it's perfectly okay to shut down your social media, to stop whatever advocacy, whatever activist work you do for a couple of hours, for a day, even for a week, if you must, for a month, even if you totally must, because you also need to take care of yourself. Do you have any pointers?
I agree. Taking a step back from social media, when you feel burned out, that's very important. Go outside, spend time with your loved ones. I believe that having a support system is also very important because otherwise you're gonna feel like you're
Yeah.
crazy or isolated. So make sure to surround yourself with people that understand, people that you can talk to, people who care about the state of the world just as much as you do. And
Yeah.
for me personally, I try to diversify the media that I consume, which means if I for example, when it comes to stuff that I read, if I am listening to an audiobook that is about socialism, that about sociology, that's about feminism, then the book that I read would be very light, fluffy rom-com or anything that's more entertaining as like a way to as an escape for me. So when I feel like my heart is too heavy from the state of the world, the book that I read would be very light stuff, would be very gooey, romantic, fluffy stuff that doesn't have any high stakes, right? So that's a way for me to escape in order for me to recoup and have the energy, the mental energy to face the horrors of the world. So that's my way.
Yeah, I love that. I think I didn't even know I was doing that, consuming different media, but I
Mm-hmm.
realized I do that as well. So, if I start reading a feminist book,
Mm-hmm.
I 100% of the time I don't finish it before I move on to another book. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I read about 2 or 3 chapters, then I'll go back to one of my dark romance books. Then I'll go back to one of my dark romance books, and then because I started the feminine mystic
Mm-hmm.
about, I think, a week ago. I'm now
Mm-hmm.
halfway through, because I read a chapter and then I take a step back. Then I do other things. Then I come back and I read a chapter. I like consuming media that way, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with the work we do also, it's very difficult taking a step back.
Yeah.
So if you are not careful, your whole life will revolve around, like, being politically aware,
Mm-hmm.
feminism, and, like, yeah, it is a way of life, sort of, but it's okay to want lighter things on some days. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. So yeah.
I mean, sometimes when I see the terrible things that men do in this world, I read about good men, fictional men who are good. And then maybe it's like, oh yeah,
Always
that's
fictional
just,
men.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm also like a big fan of true crime, which
Hmm.
is weirdly not something that's supposed to be relaxing, but it relaxes me. Cat, that's my
I
white
know.
noise.
Yeah,
I
I like it
listen.
too.
I put Yeah, I put on for almost a month now. I've not gone a night without listening to a true crime um episode, because I turn it on, and then that's how I'm able to fall asleep, actually,
Hmm.
listening to true crime. People listen to rain sounds and all that. I listen to true crime episodes to fall
No,
asleep.
I get it. A lot of women do that because, well, we like to know. We like to be aware, right? How to stay
Yes.
safe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All
That's
right,
true.
my phone is about to run out of memory in 8 minutes, so let's speed it up.
Yeah, that's right. I think we're actually done. So unless you have any
Isn't that another one?
pointers for, I mean, I feel like we covered it
Okay.
because it's about, yeah, it's about burnout and whether being radicalized is worth it or not. So we covered it in the other episode. So do you have any final words for people who are already politically radicalized or people who are looking to be politically radicalized?
I understand that it is hard to confront the fact that the world is unfair, that a lot of people are suffering, that the world is run by a handful of pedophilic billionaires. It is extremely hard. It's a tough pill to swallow. But I feel like there's no better time for us to rally and to rise up than right now because we are at the precipice.
Yeah.
There is no other time. I think there was a report from the UN or something saying that we are about to approach irreversible water scarcity, which means that drinking water will be very scarce for millions, if not billions of us. We cannot reach that point.
Yeah.
We cannot wait for someone else to save us. The billionaires are not going to save us. I'm sorry, but the governments are not going to save us. They have had a lot of time. And if the Epstein files have shown anything, it's that the governments are working with the billionaires. They do not serve us. And we cannot allow for this to happen. I mean, look, it's one of the reasons why I don't want to have children because I'm not very hopeful about the state of the world. But I also know that there will
Right.
be people coming, there will be the next generations, and I don't want them to have to fight each other to get clean water to drink. That is terrifying. I don't want I don't want millions of people to lose their jobs to AI while billionaires are making record breaking profits. That is not okay. I get very, very angry and very heated up when I talk about this, but this is this is now or never. To me, it feels like it's now or never. Either we rise up collectively, we demand change, or it's going to be too late for us. So it's time that we pick. We cannot be bootlickers. We cannot wait for someone else to save us because we are the people who will save us. They might have power and they might have all the money, but at least we have the numbers, right? So I feel like I am calling for a revolution or something. Anyway,
Understandably so.
your turn.
Understandably so. Yeah, I think you covered it beautifully. I think that we all need to start speaking up because being quiet is not going to serve anything. We all need to come together, be a collective. We need to fight against the powers that be because this is definitely not the time to be individualistic. It's not going to serve anyone. I mean, it will probably. I'm also not looking to have kids, so it might serve me. But a lot of people out there are, looking to keep having kids. My siblings are looking to keep having kids. I'm a bit of a humanist, so obviously I care about the human generation. Not very much. I wish we would all be wiped out, but I did not say that.
You did not say
Okay, we
that.
are going to end this. Yeah, I did not say that. We are going to end this episode here. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode, and we will catch you for the next one. As always, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at Unholy Feminists, and you can also listen to us on all podcast apps. And we will catch you same time. Probably not the same time. We are not very consistent, but we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.